All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to be joined by Kara La Forgia of Kaz Konsulting, a dear friend, someone who I met through a client in the beauty industry, and now someone who's become a friend and is also doing some VC work. So very excited to talk to you today, and I appreciate you joining us. Before we start, I always ask, where are you right now?
I'm in New York City, actually.
Uh-oh.
I escaped my parents' shore house for like the first 7 weeks and then moseyed on back over here.
All right. Well, welcome back to New York. How is the city right now?
It's a little eerie. I went to Central Park this morning, took my dog. It was fine. Everyone's just wearing masks. I order groceries, so I don't really leave much.
That's all right. Well, I hope you stay safe there, and I'm sure that things will start to open up soon in the city.
I hope.
So why don't you tell Kara? Why don't you tell everyone about your career, how you got started? I know you're also an attorney, so you went to law school and then you start a beauty consulting firm. Tell everyone about that. How does that happen?
So I went to law school to pursue a career as an NFL sports agent. I don't even know if you know that. So I went in, convinced two agents that were repping like Darrelle Revis, Roddy White, Vincent Jackson to hire me, and did that for a while, worked at Cash Money Records, tried a bunch of different things here and there. And then an opportunity came up at a fashion startup while I was in my last year of law school. So I just hit the ground running and went down the entrepreneurial route. I knew I didn't really want to practice law. I really liked the idea of being a part of something from the ground level and building a foundation and growing and learning a lot. As an entrepreneur in an early stage startup, you learn, as you know, like tons of stuff very quickly, and you're kind of like a Swiss Army knife and wear a lot of different hats. So absolutely loved it. I flourished. I grew that business for 2.5 years to a multi-million-dollar business. And then I was getting introduced to other founders. Friends were like, you got to meet these girls and this person. So I always kept an open mind. And when I realized that I had a niche of growing businesses through distribution and retail partnerships and brand to brand partnerships, I was like, why should I work for one company when I could work for 5 or 6 or 7 and grow a business? And quite frankly, I'm not a good employee. I'm a really good team member, and I could be very collaborative. But I learned very early on that like I cut corners. I don't like rules. I like breaking rules, and I like doing things my way. So having my own business was kind of a given.
The entrepreneurial spirit. I also cannot work for people, so I completely get it. You're also someone who's, I mean, you're someone, in talking to you in the past, like you're always aligned with what you want to do, and your passion. So I know like beauty and has been something that's been a passion of yours, and that's why you align with it and you're doing it. But can you tell us a little bit about how you got started, like the first product you started with, and how you got that into stores? Because you were getting the client that we worked together on, you were getting into Saks and Nordstrom and Bergdorf Goodman, and it was super impressive. I mean, it just like the podcast is called The Brick Wall. It's about facing your challenge and getting through that wall, whether you have to plow your head through or you push it or you walk around. But normally as entrepreneurs, we don't take the easy road, and that's not hard. So how did you get through the brick wall to get those first clients in there and to develop those relationships?
Just like being persistent and confident. I think those are two really important things when you're in sales. So understanding the product, being confident in the product, and also confident in yourself. When you hear no 10 times or 5 times, it never discouraged me. A no just meant a not yet for me. So I just kept plowing through and would convince buyers. Like my first product, like outside of fashion, which was like ready to wear and a bunch of accessories, which was an easier sell. My first product, I was selling pube oil. Like that is not an easy sell. So I just really, and I also was forming new relationships. I had fashion buyer relationships. I had to start from scratch. I think it's transferable. Like this skill set is transferable when you want something and you're persistent and you have a natural ability to connect with people organically and be your true authentic self and be raw without being pushy. That goes a long way, and it went a long way for me and has my entire career. So I think that's really what it was.
And then about a year ago, we met in downtown Manhattan, and we were talking about how you were thinking about going into, venture capital or, into private equity, and trying to get funding for startups. And here you are, almost a year later, you're kicking ass doing that, sending out deals all the time. So, anything you put your mind to, it seems to, you're persistent and you do it. So how did you transition to that? And are you still, running Kaz Consulting while doing that?
Yeah, so I'm doing both. And I definitely need to hire somebody for Kaz Consulting and a team of people to help me, because it's definitely like I'm working 100-hour weeks, working weekends, but I love what I do. So it doesn't feel like work oftentimes. But yeah, I mean, a year ago, I thought I wanted to transition to venture capital. And then when I started interviewing and just like chatting casually with a bunch of investors and venture capitalists, I figured out very early on that I'm an operator and I'm an entrepreneur, and I love getting my hands dirty and like rolling up my sleeves, being in the weeds with these founders. So I didn't think that like a traditional role as an investor at a VC would be the best fit for me. So I opened up my own venture capital fund and started angel investing. And I forged really awesome relationships with really amazing people in this space that, it's like kind of like a snowball effect. Same thing when you're building a brand. You get into Nordstrom, you get into Sephora, you get into Ulta, then all of a sudden Neiman Marcus and Blue Mercury and Space & K and Goop want to carry your product. So it's kind of the same thing. And like with the VC, you get one introduction, I speak to a founder, or I speak to an investor or a principal at a VC, and then they're kind of snowballing and making introductions and growing my relationships, just like I did with the retail side of things.
So your passion is definitely on the investment side now.
I love it. I mean, I've advised 5 companies now. And like, I'm not just catch up here and there. Like I'm constantly on the phone, texting, calling, very, very hands-on with every single one of the companies and founders that I advise. Also very passionate about each of the companies and really believe that like they're going to take off in a big way. And some of them already have, which is really cool to be a part of that early days. But yeah, I mean, I would say like it's an even split between consulting and investing. But yeah, I love them. I love it both.
So tell us about, I mean, it seems like, with Kaz Consulting, you're doing the selling to these, to these big outlets, to retail. And then, as an investor, an advisor, who's doing the selling there? Are you selling and pitching a cool product that you want to be a part of, or are they selling you as an investor? An advisor? I mean, or does it depend on the size of the company and the folks involved?
That's a really good question. I get that asked all the time. So I look at my consulting business and like the venture business as very complementary to one another. They're both vehicles for each other to feed into one another. So I could send out a consulting proposal and a company might be like, you're great, we love you, but you're a little too expensive. So why don't you come on as an advisor? Let's get the ball rolling. And after we raise Series A, you come on to consult. So it's like a culmination of, or I'll look at a company from the investment side and say, this isn't really investable for me. However, I could do some heavy lifting on the consulting side for you. And that's kind of how so it's like all case by case, but one hand kind of washes the other.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. And I've definitely found myself getting into some deals like that where they might not be able to afford our PR digital marketing services, but we back in, and then we've become owners of partners in some very interesting companies that because of that. How has both businesses changed, or have they changed during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's business has changed, either for good or for bad, right? But I mean, retail is a big part of the consulting business. So like a lot of doors were closing, a lot of companies were furloughing their employees. So you have to be agile and switch your focus pretty quickly to online, like accounts that really focus on and have an online presence. So Net-a-Porter, Beauty Bay, Derm Store, like these are some clients that I think that, and Nordstrom Online, et cetera, that have been doing well. Goop has been doing awesome. So you kind of just have to be, aware of what's going on and focus your time and energy on the retailers that are crushing it. And that's kind of what I did. So yes, it's affected my clients' businesses. I think also from like a manufacturing, production, operations, supply chain perspective, things got shifted, put on hold, even from like companies that are pre-launch that I'm advising right now, production got pushed out 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So like it happens, it's okay. But like, that's just, to me, it doesn't really affect, that might be callous saying that, but like you just, as an entrepreneur, there's so many unexpected things that come your way that this is just one more thing that it's like you're almost immune after you're putting out 100 flyers a week. Like it's just like, okay, here we go. Like
exactly. We're just dealing with another one. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You get it.
Of course. Do you think beauty overall has taken a hit? Obviously there are certain brands that are killing it, but do you think that it's taken a hit because people are staying at home? I mean, I don't wake up every morning and put on makeup. Maybe I brush the little hair that I have, and I definitely brush my teeth. I'm sure everyone's happy to know that. But do you think it's taken a hit because people are staying home and there's no reason to necessarily wear makeup or, this, or are people still wanting to look pretty at home and still using products?
People like actually so I represent and work with a lot of companies that are in the fem care, sexual health and wellness, ingestibles, like cosmetics. Those companies have been thriving and people are staying at home. Everyone's like saving money because they're not going out and spending it. So therefore they have more time and also more capital to go and spend. So I actually think it hasn't in my industry significantly affected business on that front. I think it's actually amplified business, which is really cool and great for us. A lot of companies like I know Maud and Dame have been doing really well. Those are like sexual like vibrators and whatnot, have been like crushing it. So it's nail polish companies, hair accessories, like skincare is huge, that has been doing really well. So there's certain verticals in the space that have been doing very well, actually.
And what do you think?
Sales.
Sorry. And what do you think about retail? I mean, are you going to pivot your clients on the consulting side to go more online and to lean into those winners that you were talking about, or you're still looking to get into the big brand name like the Bergdorfs, the Neiman's, or is that not going to be a focus as things open up because retail might be taking a hit long term?
No, it's totally a focus. Like, I think retail is like always going to be here to stay. I think everyone is different. There are some consumers that can buy online, but there's millions and millions and millions of consumers that love going into a store and need to and want to touch and feel a product. So yes, it might be slower, but I mean, middle America is like, that's a lot of business, right? And a lot of those states are opening up. So, and like a lot of these retailers have a presence in all of those states as well. If you have, 50, 40, 100, 200, 2,000 locations. So yes, I'm going to focus on digital to a certain extent, but I'm definitely never going to neglect traditional retail. I just closed Nordstrom yesterday for one of my clients. Like we're pushing out launches in August. So things are moving, things are happening pretty quickly. I mean, even during COVID, I was still closing accounts and pushing out dates to like July deliveries, August deliveries, which are still happening. So you don't sleep, right? Like everyone has to come out of their hermit crab shells and get back to work. I never really stopped.
That's amazing. I've found it that some of our consulting clients actually have more time on their hands, so they're using that time to push us a little bit harder and make sure that they're getting what they're paying for, which makes total sense. But it's definitely driven our team on the PR side to deliver more. So that makes sense, and the fact that business is still rolling is awesome.
Totally.
Yeah. So let's move over to the investment side. We've lost trillions of dollars in the market. The world economy is contracting. People are staying home. Obviously, you just said that business is still doing well for beauty and for certain sectors that you're in. But on the investment side, I know scared money don't make no money, but has money been more scared lately?
I think in the very beginning of this, for sure, saw like a pullback from specifically angels, less venture because, they've raised their funds. I mean, some VCs said that we're going to focus strictly on our portfolio companies and during this time and not really look at new business. I think that's changed very recently, like in the last 4 weeks. And I think everyone is kind of like less scared and knows that like, all right, let's get going kind of thing. Yeah, like a lot of angels, I think in my network have kind of held back not because they don't have the capital, just they don't know what the future holds, right? A lot of also angels invest in other, don't always just invest in early stage startups. They invest in the stock market, they invest in real estate. So like there's other hits that they personally had where they're not going to like deploy capital into an early stage startup, which is like probably the riskiest investment that you can make, especially during this time. So, but I think things are totally picking up.
Can you explain, like, for anyone out there who wants to invest? I know there's Angel Co. There's different platforms, but you have to be an accredited investor. Can you talk a little bit about what it is to be an accredited investor, so that you can invest in an early stage startup as an outsider?
I actually don't know like what the accredited like points or need to be perfectly honest.
All right, we'll look it up and we'll post it in the comments.
Please.
Okay.
I probably should. I mean, I know I am an accredited investor, but I'm not sure exactly what specifically needs to be checked off.
Okay, fine.
Like it is, I don't want to say it's like easy, but it could be fairly like there's vehicles, especially SPVs, which are a special vehicle to invest in these early stage startups. So SVP is like if you wanted to like basically if you have $100,000 that you're going to get 5 people to invest in instead of a $100,000 check, it's a way for investors that want to cut smaller checks to get in on a deal.
Okay, that's awesome. So you can come in, you don't need to be a huge fund to get into, an early stage startup.
Yeah.
What are some of the, can you talk about any of the startups that you're working with now on the investment side that you're excited about?
Yeah, of course. What is there? There's this company called Simple. It's a wellness adaptogen snack company. We launched in August. We're already in 150 retail locations. Super exciting. We're like a healthy mix between specialty retail and then also grocer. So I love companies that have diversity and where you could like sell in multiple channels. That's very exciting. And it shows that like you can grow like and have growth for long term, right? What else? Barcode is a better for you natural plant-based sports drink. So think a healthier version of Gatorade or Powerade. And it's founded by this really amazing, wildly impressively dude called Bar. His name is Bar. And he's the director platform for the New York Knicks. And he's just like a wellness guru and a workout junkie. And he's just like very trusted in this space. So that's a great company. What else do I have? Topicals. It's a medicated skincare company that's focusing on hyperpigmentation and eczema to start. There's like all these traditional brands out there like Aveeno and CeraVe. There's really nothing in the market that is for Gen Z or millennials that is carried at Sephora or Ulta or some of these, even pharmacies like CVS that you can just get over the counter that works. So that's a really exciting company that I'm pumped about. That's truly filling a white space. And like, I think they're going to completely disrupt the market. Those are some big ones that I'm working on.
That's awesome. They all sound very exciting, and they definitely like trend in the the health and wellness and beauty space, which again, shows your alignment. What advice, like if you were advising a startup, as you do every day, someone who's launching a new beauty brand or wellness brand right now in the midst of the pandemic? I know you said that the market's fine, but like, how do you, pick yourself up and maintain that energy and drive and get through that brick wall to really start it, and birth a company right now?
Truthfully, my advice would be the same, like whether we were in a global pandemic or not. And it's to just be as scrappy as humanly possible. Like, don't be like smart with your money. And I see founders all the time raise 500K, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, and they just like burn through it simply because they don't know what they're doing. So my biggest piece of advice also is to like get people on your team, like know what you don't know, right? And like recognize your gaps and your areas of weakness and bring on advisors or consultants or board members to be your sounding board and like guide you on these on these important decisions early on.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely, I've had a few startup founders come to us and they've raised X amount of dollars, and then we give them a proposal and then we want to get them off the ground. And I've actually turned some away because I'm like, we're going to eat up your entire budget for the year, and you need so many other advisors, components to your plan to get off the ground that, I didn't feel it was responsible to take them on as clients. So
yeah, I think it's like, I don't know what it is. I feel like, I mean, I do know it's like, it's a lack of experience, right? Like they just haven't started companies. And it's a lot of times these first time founders, and they think that they have to spend, 10K on this and 15K on that. And like burn rate, it's nuts. Like I know some people like started companies with $5,000, $30,000 consumer brands. Now they're like bringing in 3 years, 20 million in revenue. Like it's absurd. Yeah. 2 people at the company. So
yeah, we've talked about it in the past. You started your business, with clients, right? I started my business from my parents' couch with clients. So you can also start your business. I always joke that my first partner was my parents' cat who would sit next to me. But I'm saying it can be done. You don't need to spend a ton of money. You can be really smart and cut corners and take the easier road in certain ways, which sometimes is the harder road, but it can be done.
Totally. And also like if you have a great business, it doesn't need to necessarily be venture backed. Like there's nothing wrong with having an awesome business that where you don't necessarily need outside capital or venture capital, and you can still grow a healthy $10-20 million business with, and just rev share. Or get some really strategic angels on board, just to like maybe get things going and get it off the ground, and then scale.
Absolutely. What to you, moving on to trends, like what do you think are 2020, 2021 beauty trends, health and wellness trends? I mean, you're in the business, you're in the thick of it. You're seeing, in both companies, you're seeing what's up. So what do you think?
So I'm like pretty bullish on the mushroom space, like medicinal mushrooms. I take chaga, reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane in tincture form on a daily basis. I'm
sorry, I have to interrupt you for 1 sec. My wife made me try them to build up my immunity. How do you get that down? I don't know I can't get it down.
Dude, you put it in like tea or coffee.
Okay, fine.
Is it a tincture?
It's a tincture.
Yeah. Just put it in. I'm drinking it right now. It's awesome. Actually, I'm working with an adaptogen company called Goldmine. They're awesome. And they're doing a lot of cool things in the space. I think adaptogens and medicinal mushrooms are like the next big thing. I think it's basically going to be like what CBD is today in the beauty industry, but bigger. I don't know. So currently it's not regulated by the FDA. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. I don't really know. It's like a gray area, but right now it's not. And I think it's going to be big. Like there's a few big players in the space, Four Sigmatic, Mudwater, Lard. But I think there's plenty of room for some of these smaller guys to come in and disrupt with innovation and inventive products.
At least the big name guys have their names and brand names are aligned with what it tastes like. No,
yeah. You got to put it in the tea. You got to put it in the tea.
Exactly. I will definitely do that. I'll give it another chance because I've heard that it does wonders and it'll be amazing for us.
Dude, it's so good for you. It really is so good for you.
That's awesome. Where can everyone find you for both the consulting and if someone's looking, for an investment or for advising?
Yeah, I actually use the same email address for everything. I probably should separate it sooner than later. But it's Kara at kazkonsulting.com, and it's consulting with a K. So K-A-Z, okay. Consulting with a K.
And your website is KazKZconsulting with the K.com, correct?
Just www.kazkonsulting.com, same thing.
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining me early morning. And as you know Andrew Gluck, who's with Irreverent, who's another VC. I think it's VC or an investor day. So he'll be joining me later today at 5. But I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you stay safe for the rest of the pandemic and business keeps kicking ass.
Thank you for having me. I'll come on anytime you'd like.
I really appreciate it, Kara. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.